I'm different. Maybe you're different too. Maybe your difference is more noticeable or subtle. And maybe it's more clear and is your identity. But we do know that everybody has their own difference. We all have critics and people that tell us, like one of my friends says, Greg, you should learn how to speak, like hearing people. You should. And I said, have you heard me speak? I haven't either. But some of our biggest critics aren't always people or things. Sometimes they're the signing voices in our head. Those signing voices develop throughout time and throughout interactions with other people and train our mind to see that we're different than other people. If you're not different, you can't be perfectly whole. People say that. I feel that your differences actually are something that can be a great advantage. Okay, so you know the game golf, right? Hearing people may say you get a hole in one every time. No, but that's not true. I actually really suck at golf, and so do most people. Yeah, I do suck at golf, and so does most people. Have you seen me play golf? This is what I look like when I golf. Yikes. It's not good. Sorry, Ma. So I'm here today to tell you that those voices in your head that are training us to feel that we are different and that that's a disadvantage needs to stuff it and get out of our head. There's a term in the deaf community called deaf gain. And it's that we are more human, and those differences make us more human, more whole. Next time someone says, you need to be more hearing, you need to be more this, that, or whatever, I want you to tell them I want you to say, or give them some love and say thank you, but no. Because what makes you different is what makes you amazing and precious. Our differences help us through our problems and see different perspectives on people and other places and things. One time my deaf friend said, oh my gosh, I feel really sorry for those deaf hearing people that need their hearing to function. Should we give them money? That's so strange because so many hearing people have the same imaginary friends named Siri and Alexa. I have another friend that thinks that, hearing people and the fact that they're hearing may think that it sucks, but deaf people, or you may not know deaf people and think that deaf people think that being deaf is a negative or sucks, but it's actually the opposite. Being deaf for me is something that is really cool and something that I love a lot. It's a term in the deaf community, again, called deaf gain. It's the opposite of hearing loss. Deaf gain and hearing loss being opposite terms. It means that deaf gain means that it's something that's positive and an advantage in your life and something that you can give back to the world. I love being deaf, and the two parts of deaf gain that I especially like are number one, a heightened body connection, and the second part of deaf gain is intuitive awareness. First, I want to talk about I want to talk about body connections. It's really cool how people can use their different awareness of their body and movements. For ASL language, it's really cool. We use our hands and our face and our arms and our body to express our language and to have conversations. It's very natural for us. And over our lifetime, we can improve these skills and use body connections to our advantage. Hey, Greg, can you repeat that last two sentences, please? Okay. Yep. Perfect. So do you guys know the deaf rapper named Wawa Snipe? He uses his body connection like a champ. You would know what I'm talking about if you saw the 2021 Super Bowl game where he signed the national anthem. He uses his body movements and connections to show so much emotion and feeling. His gifts are uncanny. Another example is a deaf contestant on America's Top Model. He uses his body connection to go from a mediocre contestant in the competition to an extremely large transmission and winning the contest. Another example is a deaf friend that I have back home, and she's an engineer. She told me that her body connections is her identity and how she is able to be aware of the bodily structures around her. She's in high demand because of she's able to forecast problems way before many other people can. Yeah, she's able to predict problems far before anyone else. That's really amazing. This can also apply to education. Do you remember chemistry class a long time ago when you're in school? So boring, right? There's a lot of chemistry concepts that are complex and really hard to explain visually. A lot of people or a lot of teachers use graphs and different kind of visuals to explain those concepts. But I have to tell you about my deaf chemistry teacher. She threw textbooks out of the water in my chemistry class. She was able to explain terms like hydrogen like this. These are classifiers in ASL, and those visual classifiers were took those complex terms and made it really easy to understand. And she even upped the ante and showed how to explain lithium as well. The deaf class was able to learn all about electron orbitals way before the curriculum even ended. And all the deaf students taught the hearing students, and they all got A's too. Body connections also mean that there's a lot of facial expressions involved, a lot of larger expressions to show meaning, especially in ASL. My chemistry teacher did that a lot, and it kept our attention. This is an example of my PE teacher who would say, "You didn't show up for class. You didn't do your homework. I'm so depressed," while smiling for everything he said. The last time I was depressed, I didn't look like that. Body connections help people express themselves. So for example, we're able to read people's faces and just read people in general because of these things, how to incorporate these. It's very natural for us to use our mental processing and our body processing and our sensations and our perspectives to better understand and read people and understand situations as well. If you, oh, can you repeat that last two sentences again? Sorry, thank you. Maybe you're familiar with hearing interpreters being able to communicate between deaf people. For example, a deaf person uses an interpreter to communicate with hearing people. And so the interpreter will, the deaf person will say something, the interpreter will speak that, and then the hearing person will say something, and the interpreter will sign that to the deaf person. So you may think it's weird that a deaf person can be defined as a hearing to hearing communicator, but that's exactly what happened in the Ottoman Empire long time ago. The sultans traveled to other countries and they used deaf people to cross language barriers and to help them. They took them on their travels and had them act as different type of spies and to interpret those languages. Deaf people are able to be a language barrier for many different cultures. That still happens today. I experienced something similar recently. I had a conversation with a Russian person that was deaf. We didn't have one language in common. He spoke Russian, he signed Russian, and I only spoke ASL. So he explained this concept to me and I was able to understand it the first time he said it to me. He said a sentence like this, as complex as this: "Hey, your friend Adam left his picture frame in my hotel room. You can tell him to pick it up anytime he wants to." He only had to make that comment one time and I understood him. The first time I understood. That's pretty cool.